Hello, hello, everybody. My name is Allison Holly, and I am a channel and an awakening guide. And I am going live a little spontaneously because I wanted to talk about something today that came up earlier. So, earlier today, I had a book club meeting. Every month, I have a free book club meeting for my recent book, Ecstatic Playground. It's free. You're welcome to join. It's part of my private community. But I was in there, and one of the things that came up is somebody was being really supportive. If you're listening, you know who you are. Somebody was being really supportive and saying, I know that we're all doing our best, and sometimes it's difficult, and it may feel like it's not making a lot of difference, but things are, but it's helpful if we support each other. And I wanted to offer confirmation that what we do actually does matter, and it actually matters a lot. It actually shifts a lot. And this is what we do on an individual level really massively changes the whole game. It changes the whole story that's unfolding right now in this awakening process. Um, and I have a unique perspective as someone who channels, someone who goes into these frequency realms, and I'm looking in multiple dimensions as I do that. So there's sort of a dimensional space that's more psychic. There's a dimensional space that's beyond psychic. And, these are, I explore many of these. Okay. And the realms of the way that this is all unfolding, the collapsing of certain structures and the building of the new, the way that that unfolds, there's 1,000 different ways that we could get there, and we are actually collectively choosing how to get there. Many people feel or have this belief that the awakening is happening and it's going to happen in a specific way, and there's just really nothing that we can do about it. But actually, we are shifting it currently through our individual holding of specific frequencies, through the work that you're individually doing as you come into new understandings and you start to really embed them within yourself, and you learn and you grow. All of that shifts the collective. So here's what I want to share with all of you, because I'm looking in different dimensional spaces. I often, when I look at the psychic realm, which is sort of the time-based realm, I see specific events unfolding, and I see where certain things are sort of malleable and shiftable. And then there are certain things where it's just like, this is going to happen. But it's interesting to try and describe in a sort of human way, because actually all of it's very shiftable. So some of the things that I have seen, we can sort of plot on an energetic timeline. Now I have a video that I have on my channel. By the way, feel free to say hello, because this is spontaneous. I didn't plan this, so I didn't tell anybody that I was going to be going live. But if you have questions, please feel free to share it in the chat, and I'd love to go over it. So essentially, there are certain things that when I look into the collective, and I'm looking in daily, when I look into the collective, there are certain timelines, we'll say, based on the energetic frequency that we are predominantly holding. And the collective has a predominant frequency, which creates a certain, what we'll call a timeline, but it's really just a frequency that is propelling us in a specific direction. And I have seen that change in major ways, meaning global ways, twice in the past year. In fact, we actually just went through one. So the first one that I saw, and I'm not going to give specific details on what I saw potentially could have happened. And then I saw that the collective chose a specific thing, because I don't want anyone's mind to get really attached to the drama. Because what I'm reading, when I look at the way that it unfolds in the collective and the human experience, that is kind of the drama, right? And it can cause us to have some mental attachments to what's good and what's bad and all of that. But suffice it to say that about a year ago, I witnessed the collective choosing to, um, I'll say, fast forward the destruction process, meaning there were two general paths that we could have chosen. It feels like maybe it was even three general paths that we could have chosen for this major shift in humanity and the collective awakening and the breaking down of old structures. What I saw and what's unfolding right now in our collective is that we chose the one that hits fast forward. A lot of things were destined to occur. A lot of structures, specifically, governmental structures, and I'll kind of leave it at that. But a lot of those structures were meant to fall apart. And it's because we're moving into higher frequencies where new structures are more sustainable. These old structures, they're just not sustainable moving forward. It's not a good or bad thing, it's a sustainability thing. If you really want to understand more about non duality, definitely join the book club because we go a lot. I'll just show you my book because we go a lot into it and it's free. The book club's free. The book is posted online for free. There's just really good teachings in there. So if you want to understand that more, then definitely go in there. But I'll leave it at that. The most recent shift that I have seen is in the past month or so, where we started to witness that, okay, now here we're in this sort of like churning, we're in the breakdown, we're in this intense experience of shifting that some people call suffering, some people would call it difficulty, and all of that. And I have witnessed the collective vibration pull it out of some of the depths of suffering into really focusing on love and light. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. It's by each of us doing our individual work and choosing our path. That's how we've done this. And I see and the reason that I can tell is because there were on the psychic level, which is, the physical is really malleable and shiftable when it comes to energetic transmission. So everything is sort of streaming from source into the denser layers of reality. And we're the ones choosing how things on the astral level and therefore also the physical level, how this all unfolds. Collectively, we're doing this and individually because oneness consciousness. So it's all kind of one and the same. And what I saw is that each of us sort of got pulled into this awakening, this deeper level of awakening that's been occurring. I mean, it really started shifting at the beginning of October. It was like, whoa, go time. And I mean, it's hard to put on a timeline because we could say this whole year, this whole lifetime has really been powerful. And so what I witnessed, though, is really within the past month, many of us saw this collective shift going in a way that felt like a lot of suffering potentially. And we took that and we focused individually. And we brought ourselves to the level of creator. And through doing that, we are actually going to witness less suffering than what I had previously seen when I was looking into the sort of psychic timeline level. All right. I'm intending that this makes sense. I want to read. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Hello. Yes. Hi, Justin and Allie. Oh, so good to have you guys. So it's really, really been powerful for us to see in what I'll call real time because, reality is all morphable and shiftable, right? And to be able to see in the unfolding how powerful our individual choices are. It's incredible to be able to witness, and especially for me, it's so beautiful for me to be able to witness that, because I'm looking at the collective and I'm also talking to a lot of different individuals, for me to be able to see that we're changing it. So a reading that I did yesterday, the future timeline, it no longer applies because we have shifted it. And I wanted to share that with you. I also wanted to go back into a previous video and explain a little bit more. My video on timelines, I really wanted to kind of drop into that. And in that video, I shared with you that timelines don't exist. The deeper teaching with that is that we are the creators of timelines, meaning that for something to be a timeline. So in that video, I talked about how time is more of a swirl, but any of the patterning that we witness is our own creation. And so when I say that timelines don't exist, what I really mean is that we are choosing the sort of predominant focus. And that for predominant focus, it does have a continuation. And that's what we call a timeline. It does have a sort of um, predominant trajectory that it goes into. That's what we call a timeline. So when I say that our collective timelines are shifting and changing, what I mean is that we have chosen a predominant frequency collectively, and we're maintaining that level of frequency moving forward. I intend that this makes sense. And we've done it, y'all. We've done it. It's so cool. It makes me really happy. And I'm also sharing this with you just to let you know that really what you do, it matters. What you do individually, it matters. It actually does. And I'm going to go deeper into some pretty um, big concepts here. And I'm just going to intend that it all makes sense. Um, the way that time is formed, the way that reality is formed, we'll say human reality. Yes, yes. Hello, hello. What we'll say as like human reality is a predominancy of frequency. So even on an individual level, let me tell you on an individual level, I have a life map, a frequency map of specific things on the timeline that I have said I want to experience. Now, it's frequency based. So I can say that I'm going to have certain experiences, but it's also much more broad than that. Again, I talk about it in my book. I talk about it in the timelines video. There's a lot to share here. But when we're talking about creating the collective reality, this is how we actually get quantum leaps. This is how we get uh, time gaps and things like that in an individual life and in the collective. So, manifestation talks a lot about this. If I think a new way and I bring a new energy into my experience, I am going to have a different result. That's how we manifest. We don't manifest by pointing and trying to make something move outside of us. It's internally. That's what we're doing. We're shifting internally. So I take that and I apply it globally. When we create that internal shift, I could have what we call a quantum leap, meaning I go to bed one night and my reality looks a certain way, and I wake up the next day and it looks completely different. Or more often than not, what ends up happening is somebody will say something to me that will reflect that the shared memory is different now because I've imagined a different thing, right? So revision and things like that. When we do this on a collective level, we have massive shifts. And I'll have to look into some of the things that I don't know. I could go off on tangents here and talk about sort of like glitch in the matrix stuff, which I love. But what we experience as a collective reality, because our minds are really good at creating some sort of a continuation, when we shift collective predominant timelines as a collective, we may not notice that there's a big change, even though there is. Because, I mean, especially if you're not looking into, what we call the future and you're not doing psychic work and stuff like that, you may think, well, this is just what was going to happen anyway. Um, and we can witness collective shifts, quantum level shifts, glitch. I almost said glyph, glitch in the matrix shifts when we are really sort of being present and paying attention to um, just how the frequency changes. Okay. I'm starting to get a little off topic here. The last thing that I wanted to share with you is something that I've started noticing when I'm looking at, I am paying a lot of attention to solar flares and the Schumann resonance and things like that, because we've got a lot of activity. I want to just look in here. Spontaneous Allison. uh, Way back, crop circles never made sense to anyone. Ain't that the truth? I'm like, get me in the crop circle. Okay. So, what I wanted to say about collective glitch in the matrix experiences that we can have is when you, so, and I, this feels right. This feels right. Because to me, okay, so I'm getting a little off topic here, but when we look at the charts for Schumann resonance, or I've seen this specifically with solar flares. And we look at the charts, there will sometimes be black bars in the chart, right? So it'll be like, here's a huge spike, and then there will be like a black bar. Now, what people say is that's when the information's not being transmitted, it's not being charted for whatever reason. But other people have gone on to explain that that was actually a timeline shift, a collective timeline shift. I think that's really cool. And potentially that is what we're seeing, because the way that a collective timeline shift looks, and if you've ever had this happen on an individual level, you'll understand what I'm talking about, like sort of your own personal glitch in the matrix. When we have a collective timeline shift, it feels very much like when you're in a car and you're going over a speed bump and you sort of like catch air. This is not speaking to my driving and how awesome of a driver I am. But what we'll notice is you sort of catch air, and there's that little bit of weightlessness of being in the void that we experience. And there have been a lot of those. I have experienced a lot of those in the past month. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it at that. I don't think I see any other questions. Okay, cool. So thank you for joining me on here spontaneously. My mic wasn't working. I was going to pre-record this video, and then I just decided, let me just go live. I will probably do a lot more of these because I think when I plan ahead too much, I just end up not doing it. I lose the momentum of the moment. So thank you all for being here with me. I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.